I've been out looking for cats this morning. And you've heard the expression, it's impossible to herd cats. Sometimes it's impossible to find cats, even though they're all over the place. We happen to be in Africa, in South Africa, and Helen Young has been taking me around. We've been looking for leopards, lions, and we found some lions this morning. Welcome to the show, Helen.
Thank you very much.
Now, when you start out each morning, as we start out, we have no idea where the animals are. We just know they're somewhere here.
Yes.
And cats can just disappear right in front of your eyes.
Totally. If they don't want to be found, they won't be found.
The lions may hide for a while, but eventually Helen and her fellow guides at Londolozi Game Reserve find them. The guides, and especially the trackers, are not only persistent, but they're very skilled at locating big cats even when they can't see them. First, they look for tracks, where the lions might have walked the night before. They also check to see if the other wildlife is nervous, because a predator might be in the area. Although it might not be the first item listed on the resume, the guides are also experts in cat poop, analyzing it for freshness. All these skills come into play to help us find the lions each day. Now, leopards are more elusive and scarcer than lions, but Helen and the trackers get us right next to these beautiful cats.
By the way, we're near Kruger National Park, but we're on Londolozi, private game reserve. And you got a lot of leopards here.
We do have a lot of leopards, but it's not just that. I think it's a combination of the fact that we have a lot of leopards and also that we can see them and that they allow us to follow them, which is very, very different to most parts in Africa.
But we were looking for tracks, and we finally found some tracks, and they went off into the bush, and sometimes you can drive the vehicles right into the bush looking for them. Yeah. But in this case, you had two trackers just get out, and you got out and started walking.
Yes.
With no weapons. Other than one guy was carrying a stick.
We had a very big stick.
A stick!
Not this stick, but it was a stick.
It was a big stick, but it's not what you'd usually want to ward off a leopard with. So what do you do if you find a leopard?
Well, it's a tricky question, but for the most part, a leopard is happiest when it's not being seen. So most of the time on foot, if we come up towards a leopard and the trackers are good enough that usually we see the leopard at a distance safe enough and they feel comfortable that we are far enough away for it not to be a problem.
And the leopard won't just turn and come running towards you, charging.
Ideally, no.
Yes, ideally, no.
And usually the protocol is that if you pretend that you haven't seen the leopard, for the most part, it will just go on its way and maybe hide behind the next bush, at which point we get back into the car and then we can go and look at it. And the leopard's very comfortable with the car. On foot, it's a different story. If you see the leopard and you react and you go, oh, you get a big fright and you wave your arms around, then it knows it's been seen and it's either going to react in a way that's aggressive or it's just going to run and you're never going to see it again.
Helen, by the way, Helen Young, with whom we're talking here on National Geographic Weekend, is a guide at Londolozi. You've been guiding how long?
About 5 years.
About 5 years, and still hasn't learned enough not to get out of the vehicle without her gun and go looking for leopards.
However, thanks to the fearlessness of Helen and our trackers, who walk into the bush following leopard tracks, we get some incredible views of these big cats, especially when one leopard decides to show off her climbing skills.
We got some beautiful shots of leopards, and nobody got hurt. That's the good news.
Important.
Even though you were on foot, even though we were tracking several days, tracking leopards and lions, nobody got hurt. It's an experience like no other. It's really kind of a primal experience, but from the safety of a vehicle, and you let people like Helen and the trackers go out and do the dangerous part on foot.
And we serve you coffee in the vehicle.
Even better. Drinks in the vehicle. Hey, thanks very much.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
To hear the complete interview with Helen Young about tracking lions and leopards in South Africa's Londolozi Game Reserve, tune into National Geographic Weekend this week and tune in to adventure.